The wild card round of the NFL playoffs are here, and so are my best bets. In this video, we're going to have two player props, a spread pick, and an over-under pick for Saturday's slate in the NFL. Yo, what's going on, everyone? This is Austin from Calling Our Shot, and man, we finished the NFL regular season off with a great run. We made profit 4 straight weeks. We were 29-11 over the final 4 weeks. And as you can see on the screen, spreads and over-unders pretty much dead even on the year. So you can see our specialty is player props, which is why we got 2 of them. Of course, I'll give you a player prop and an over-under pick in each of these games. But we've been making a killing off player props. If you are new to the channel, consider clicking that subscribe button. We're closing in on 20,000 subscribers. If every one of you hit that subscribe button, we probably hit it. So that would be awesome. See if we can hit it this weekend. Also, hit the like button down below. Let me know your best bet for Saturday. We'll obviously have a separate video for Sunday's NFL games. We've got 3 games on Sunday. And we have a Monday Night Football Rams versus Cardinals game, which we'll have a full separate video for that one. Now, let's waste no more time. Let's hop into the first game on the slate, the Raiders versus the Bengals. And it's a shame these two teams have to face off against each other. These are 2 of my favorite teams to watch in the NFL this season for different reasons. You got the Bengals, a team that we want to watch, really, because they got all this young talent. And then we got the Raiders, a team that has really fought against a lot of adversity this season. I'm going to go to the Bengals, though, for my player prop, which is what we're doing first. And it's Joe Burrow, under 267.5 passing yards, minus 110 on PointsBet. Now, if your line is much lower, I'd probably wait until I've seen other sportsbooks have it at 261.5 to 267.5. So I took the obviously the highest line, but I imagine this line raises as the time goes off closer to kickoff, because a lot of people at first glance, you'd think, Austin, why the heck are we fading a guy that over his last 2 games done 446 and 525 passing yards? He set this over in 4 of his past 5 games. I understand, and I could be completely wrong in this one, but I'm going against the public, and I think we got a good chance here. Now, at least listen to my argument for this under for Joe Burrow's passing yards. Now, let's talk about the Raiders defense, which I believe is a little bit underrated. Not a little bit, I think very underrated. Right now, the Raiders, they play a cover 3 defense, so they normally have a bunch of guys deep. So they're saying, hey, you can throw the ball over the middle, but you're not beating us deep. That's not what you're doing. And if you think about Joe Burrow, how does he get the majority of his yards? Leads the league in yards per pass attempt. Well, he throws it deep to guys like Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And if you saw last week, Justin Herbert, did he hit this over? Yes, but it took him 64 pass attempts to go over, just have 380 yards. He was throwing it nonstop. And if you look at it, the Raiders currently allowing the 6th fewest 20-yard receptions or completions in the NFL this season. They don't let you beat you deep, and they're going to make you dink and dunk down the field, try to take away your favorite player. And who's Jamar Chase? Well, who's Joe Burrow's favorite target? Just spoiled it. Jamar Chase, the #1 option. I don't envision them letting Jamar Chase beat them in this game. If you're going to pick a player's over for the Bengals, likely lean towards T. Higgins. I think he has a little bit better of a matchup instead of Casey Hayward, who would likely be guarding Jamar Chase. Now back to the Raiders defense, currently allowing 221 passing yards per game, 13 fewest in the NFL. And over the past, only 5 quarterbacks in 17 games this season have hit this over. I'm going to break down each of them. Obviously, Justin Herbert, 383 yards on 64 pass attempts. Dak Prescott, 375 yards on 47 pass attempts. Patrick Mahomes, 406 yards on 50 pass attempts. Teddy Bridgewater, 334 on 49 pass attempts. And Ben Roethlisberger, all the way back in week 2, 295 yards on 40 pass attempts. So what's the common theme here? Every single quarterback that's hit this over has thrown it over 40 times. And 4 of them, the 4 recent ones, because week 2 is a way different defense than what we see now, 4 of those guys threw it over 47 times. And if you think Mr. Joe Burrow is going to throw it 47 times today, then hammer all the overs for the Bengals, because he'll cruise past all of them. But the regular over-under line for Joe Burrow's pass attempts is 33.5 or 34.5. And Vegas is normally very sharp on those lines and normally finishing pretty close to it. So if we look at Joe Burrow, he has in 16 games, because he sat the last game of the season, he's gone under this line in 7 of them. So 7 for 16, not the greatest ratio, almost 50% of the time. But only 3 of the 9 games he went over did he throw fewer than 39 or 38 pass attempts. So if he's going to throw for 40 pass attempts, so be it. That's going to happen. And he'll go over this line. But the 3 teams that he went over with not a lot of pass attempts were the Lions, the 49ers, and the Jaguars. 3 teams that are not very good at defending opposing passing and that allow a lot more deep completions than the Raiders. These teams obviously matched up earlier this season. Joe Burrow, just 148 passing yards in that game. I'll take my chances and I'll ride with the under for Joe Burrow, under 267.5 passing yards. Now, my spread pick for this game, man, I'm going against what I said on the podcast. Raiders plus 5.5. So if you listen to the podcast, which is weekly, you can go listen to it. We would appreciate it. But it's weekly every Wednesday. I really like the Bengals, and I changed my mind because I look at this and I'm a big fan of the Bengals. I think they got a lot of future success coming their way. But I think about this Raiders game, and obviously, you know, maybe I get destroyed by a huge Joe Burrow game and I lose both of these picks. But the moral of the story, since 2003, home teams that are 7 or less point favorites are 14, 28, and 1 against the spread in the wild card round. The Bengals would fit that category, 5.5 point favorites at home. And so they are one of those teams that fits that category. Over the past 4 seasons, the underdogs have a 15-3 against the spread record against teams that are 7 and as home favorites or home under. You get what I mean. 15-3 against the spread for wildcard teams that are 7 or less point underdogs. Now, road teams as a whole in the past 8 seasons for wildcard games, 22, 11, and 1 against the spread. All these things are coming down to the Raiders team, which I argue is the most motivated and hungry team in the playoffs this season. Great veteran leadership. They're obviously going under their interim head coach. Got Max Crosby on the defensive side, Derek Carr on the offensive side. This is a team that wants to be remembered, not for all the offseason, off the field issues like Henry Ruggs, John Gruden, all the other things. It's a team that wants to be remembered for how they play, and what bigger way to show people how you play than with the first game of the NFL playoffs, an upset win over the Bengals. And I'm not picking them to win this game, but I do think they keep this one close. Everyone falls in love with this Bengals offense and thinks, oh, this team, well, know how they win games. They score a ton of points. I get it. That's going to be hard to do against this Raiders defense. Now, sure, these two teams played earlier this season. The Raiders lost 32-13. But that game was a lot closer than what this final score indicated. 5 minutes left in the game. It was 16-13. The Bengals scored a touchdown. They got a turnover and scored and blew up the score, made it look like a blowout. It was not that. And I would not be surprised to see the Bengals come out flat here. This is a team that rested majority of their guys last week, and they could lay an egg. This is a team that normally doesn't rest guys. All these guys are used to playing every single week, and then they got full weeks off of rest. Could throw out with some chemistry, could be out the wazoo. Either way, I like Derek Carr in this big game. I understand all the numbers against him when the cold weather's out there. I don't care. I'm taking the Raiders plus 5.5 points. I love this team. They're motivated to win, and 5.5 points is, I think, too many in this undercard and this wild card weekend. So I'm riding with them. Now let's move on to the second game on the slate: Bills versus Patriots. Bills open as 4-point favorites. I got a spread. I actually got an over/under pick and a player prop. And of course, we'll start with the player prop. It is Mac Jones under 32.5 yards, longest passing completion, -110 on DraftKings. Now, this isn't a bet against talent, because I do think Mac Jones is a solid NFL quarterback, obviously a rookie, but I think this comes down to the defense. And this Bills defense, we'll talk about them a little bit more in a second. Now, Mac Jones as a whole started all 17 games for the New England Patriots, cashed this under in, I believe, 10 of the 17 games. So pretty good ratio for us. A lot of the people, I might think, Mac Jones, he's just like Ben Roethlisberger, throwing a 3-yard pass. No, that's not really true. He averages 14th most yards passing attempts, yards per pass attempt. So right in the middle of the pack. But let's talk about this Bills defense. In 2 matchups this season, Bills, obviously, you look at Mac versus the Bills, Mac Jones obviously going under in both of them. Now, I'll give him a pass, no pun intended. In the one game, he attempted just 3 passes. That's not up to him. I mean, he only attempted 3 passes. He's not going to hit this over. But I could spend a whole 10 minutes talking about the Bills defense, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to rely on 3 different things. Number 1, the Bills, they allow the fewest yards per pass attempt in the NFL at 5.2 yards per pass attempt. The second closest team is at 5.9 yards per pass attempt. And yes, that is the New England Patriots. Number 2, 7 of the last 10 quarterbacks to face the Bills have gone under this line. The 3 quarterbacks to go over: Zach Wilson last week, who had 87 yards passing, but 40 of them came on one play. Matt Ryan, who connected with Kyle Pitts, who I believe broke a tackle and went 60 yards. And then Tom Brady, he connected on a 58-yard pass in overtime to win the game, if you remember it, to Brashad Perriman. So not a lot of QBs are hitting this over, so I'll take my thing. But the third and final, probably most important note, the Bills have allowed the fewest 20-plus yard completions in the NFL this season. Just 31 20-yard completions in 17 games. For reference, the team with the most 20-yard completions against their defense, 74, would be the Baltimore Ravens, as you guys probably know. The second fewest team that, in terms of completions, is 38 to the Philadelphia Eagles. Bills defense has been great all season long. I can't imagine the Patriots want Mac Jones and their offense to get into a shootout against this team, so I imagine they want to get the ball out of his hands quickly and lead to long, methodical drives, keep Josh Allen and the Bills offense off the field, and that should be the Patriots game plan today. You don't want to see Josh Allen on the field all too often, so give me the under 32.5 yards for his longest passing completion. I believe every single book had that over at 32.5. I think FanDuel, of course, has 31.5. So if he ends on it with the 32-yard pass as the longest one, I'll just feel pain for everyone involved. But I'll take 32.5 with confidence. Now, I could make a spread pick here, but I want to give you guys an over-under pick because I'm more confident in this. Should come as a surprise. Bills-Patriots under 44 points, -110 on DraftKings. Now, in 2 matchups this season, because this is obviously the trilogy, they've gone over once and under once. And the first matchup was the crazy win game. They scored 24 combined points. Second one was a rematch in Foxborough. They combined for 54 points. Now, the Patriots and Mac Jones have struggled to score the ball on the road. They will be on the road today against Buffalo. And like I said, with Mac Jones and his overall and his player prop, don't expect them to be throwing the ball all that much, especially not against a great Bills secondary and defense as a whole. What they want to do is run the ball, like I talked about. They don't want, the Bills want to keep, you look at Bill Belichick, he's going to want to make the Bills offense have to dink and dunk the ball down the field, not the complete long passes to Isaiah McKenzie's, the Gabriel Davis's, the Stephon Diggs of the world. He's going to make them dink and dunk down the field, run the ball, something that Josh Allen and that Bills offense doesn't want to do. And I'm sure as the playoffs go on, maybe they'll have some tricks up their sleeves for the Bill Belichick defense and the Josh Allen offense led by the Bills. But I just don't see it. I see the Patriots doing a lot of run-heavy offense, kind of like we saw them in that first windy game in Buffalo. They wanted to run the ball. The Patriots know they cannot win this game. And in my opinion, they cannot win this game if it's a shootout. This just plays way too much into the Bills' hands, and they need to slow down this game, run the football, and make possessions extra valuable, beat the game in the trenches, exactly how they won the first matchup against the Buffalo Bills. And while I do believe the Bills will win this game in the long run, although, if you look back to my against the spread analysis from the Raiders game, you might think, a while, and I think there's even more home divisional wild card things between two opponents. But either way, give me the under 44 points. I know DraftKings has a hammer, the over plan. I don't blame you for taking it. Would be hilarious if that over doesn't hit, which wouldn't surprise me. They'd make so much money off of it. Either way, I'm going to ride with the under 44 points. Now, that's all going to do it. Those are my 4 plays for Saturday in the NFL. My Sunday NFL plays will be live on Saturday, so maybe by the time you're watching this video, they might already be live. We'll see. I'll link it on the screen if they are live. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Let's have a great Saturday, and a great Friday because I post this on Friday, but a great Saturday too. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Let's try to make some money this weekend. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.